Welcome back. Today we're going to do a new series I'm going to start called Audiobooks of the Year. First, we're starting out with a little audiobook that I usually don't get into. It's all about, politics and capitalism with politics. This has been kind of an eye-opener. A lot of this stuff, you kind of know, but this really dives deep into it and gives a lot of information that I really had no idea about. I'm just going to do a brief overview because I definitely don't remember everything, and I would definitely have to re-listen to this one quite a few times to get all the information they teased out. This audiobook is Edge of Chaos by Dambisa Moyo. And I'm not probably saying that 100% correctly, but I'm really impressed. I looked into her just a little bit to get some background for this. I'm really impressed in a lot of the just political and capitalism she's been getting herself into and just kind of bringing herself to the forefront of media and books as well. I'm really impressed with her, and I'm going to have to look into her a little more and find out more about her. But for right today, let's talk about her book. Remember, no one book answers all questions, but a well-written and compelling one goes a long way in answering. Now this audiobook, so my first audiobook this year was all about capitalism and basically global economy, how it's working, how to get it started, and how it's not really working in certain areas. So this is really going over how to jumpstart the economy and overhaul it, shall we say, in order to get it to grow and dramatically give better results. They explain in the book a variety of different, so not only in America, but all over the world, you see this kind of stagnation in the economies. You see not much wage growth. There's kind of lower productivity across the board. Obviously, the rich always seem to be getting more rich, and the poor and lower middle class are getting less and less. She goes through a variety of different ways that she feels could help to alleviate these issues and kind of improve the overall economic stability. She also talks about different cultures, not only America and their democracy, but she also includes a lot about China and how it's been going about its kind of overall growth in that. It's kind of leading to believe that you don't really need democracy and this kind of liberal democracy to allow for this economic growth. You can do it with different types of governments. But I do think the most improvement and the best way to do it has been in your liberal democracy. But there is definitely other ways to go about it in a lead. She then goes over to say that it's very vital for the definitely overall growth and stability of the world to have this natural growth phase. Now, not everything is going to be in a growth phase. You get a growth phase here for a time, and then it goes down, and then you should have a growth phase in some other sector or other part of the world. It's definitely, everything goes in cycles, but she says for the overall stability of the world, it should be growing economically, industrially, all kinds of different growths should be happening in order to provide the things for the people and the variety of population that we have. With a lot of her complaints about democracy, she doesn't say completely abandon it. She's looking at particular reforms that can be done to it and allow to be better just suited for today's environment. Obviously, old democracy was many years ago, and a lot of things has changed. Industrialization, commercialization, globalization, all the internet. I can't imagine the amount of things that have changed since a lot of democracies have been founded until now, and it's going to change dramatically again into the future. But I think we still have a chance with it, and there should be some reforms, but I don't know if this particular government or any government in a democracy or any other wants to change anything too much, because it just doesn't happen. Governments don't change it. The individual and the populations of that state, country, or what have you are the ones that have to step forward and demand and are responsible for that kind of change. Is democracy an essential component for market freedom? I would have to say no, and she comes to the same conclusion as well. Although I do think it is the best form of this free markets. But what we see here, and a lot of things that have been happening in the stock market, that have happened throughout time in the stock market. It's not really a free market now, is it? There's still some big players that have a lot of power and like to push around others, whether that be, you know, governments, titles, hedge funds, whatever the case might be. All kinds of different things push around different little people mostly. So she's saying, what exactly should you be doing with this economic growth? You should be investing in infrastructure, investing in education, investing in growth in each one of these particular countries, allowing for those countries to grow substantially and be prepared for the next wave. So in each country that goes from industrial to ideological, or the brain-based economy, if you will, there are certain things, jobs that get phased out. So they move all of our manufacturing, left America, went to China, and for a variety of other places, wherever was cheapest for the labor and that. But there's going to be a new economic shift to all creativity based. So all the brain power and that, and then we need to rehaul all of our kind of ideal systems and change where we're getting paid, how much we're getting paid for certain tasks. And a lot of that change is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult. Retraining of a lot of workers, all kinds of different things. Another thing she really talks about is the current political system is basically on 4-year stints. Everything is so narrow-minded, so short-term focused, that they don't care if they want to get this bill passed. I passed this bill. They don't care if it's around next year or the year after when they're gone from their particular seat. A lot of the time the presidents get in there, do something and say, yay, I did it, and then try to get for another 4 years, but all the time they don't. And then the next guy comes in and just changes everything he's done, and there's no real long-term focus, there's no long-term goals, there's nothing that really ties this country and is improving. This country is pretty much, the country of America, is pretty much the same as it's been now as it's been 20 years ago, 30 years ago. There's been very little underlying change, which could be a good thing in some aspects, but definitely a bad thing in others. All the jobs have left. Everything that was interesting and made our country great is not really there anymore. That's one of the reasons why I am now in Japan. I found it's a little bit interesting. There's definitely a culture that needs to change, and they need to kind of embrace change and entrepreneurship a little more than they do, like in America. I like the hard work and efficacy once it gets going. So she was saying also in this book, capitalism and globalization has done more to help the general person than anything else in the world. Currently, China has brought over 30 million people in their country up from out of poverty to kind of a baseline level of economy and global standards. They're doing much better. So many people out of poverty and into the middle class, or working class at least, and help them get along. There's still a lot of people in this world that can do that the same, and a lot of countries that need that. But maybe there's a better way we can do it for each one of these countries. And she really goes in and teases apart capitalism and the democracy and how it would work best and go through. I'm not going to go through it here, but I think it's a great read. You should definitely listen to it or read it if you have the book. With that, this has been Jeremy from Neko Nation Japan. I'm going to give this one, I want to say a 7 out of 10. It's not my particular goal and my particular taste, but it's a great read and listened nonetheless. With that, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this from Neko Nation Japan. Please comment below and tell me exactly what you liked or what you didn't like, especially what you didn't like in this video. Thank you very much. Sayonara.